So, thanks for tuning in, watching, or listening. If you're on YouTube or you're on the podcast listening, you're all very, very welcome this week to discuss all the latest from the Mazuma, and there is plenty to discuss as usual. We have a representative from the room at the top, and this week the short straw has been drawn by the ever-standing James Wakefield. James, thanks for coming on.
Cheers, Freez. Nice to see you.
And from the dressing room, we have a centre-back who's waited very patiently in the wings, but has now taken his opportunity, grabbed it with both legs, not both hands, because that'd be a keeper, wouldn't it? So it's the multi-experienced Chris Stokes. Chris, thanks for joining us.
Nice to join you.
So where do we start? As usual, we always talk about last Saturday's game first. So I'll start, Joel, by saying not the performance that we expected, and maybe not the result that we wanted, but sometimes you have to give the opposition a bit of credit. And I thought the Cowley brothers definitely had created a little bit of bounce there because they worked incredibly hard for 98 minutes, didn't they?
Yeah, I remember after the game seeing a few people saying, "Oh, Colchester, they're a limited side, it's such not a great side," but I didn't think that. I thought it felt a little bit like we caught them at that funny little time where they've obviously had a couple of games under the Cowleys, but prior to that they were playing. I think they were trying to play on the deck a bit more. They had Ben Garner in charge, and then they've had Matthew Etherington come in and stuff. So they've kind of had that funny transition period where we know they're going to end up transitioning to that more kind of direct Danny Cowley side, but you don't know how much they're going to try and move it along delicately. Are they just going to, I think they had a couple of weeks off, so are they just going to get them playing it this week? So it's that kind of little funny time when you're not quite sure what kind of Colchester side you're going to get. And I think as we saw on Saturday, it was much more that kind of Cowley style, very, very high energy.
In your face,
not really giving us much time to rest. Pretty, not just lumping it, but pretty direct when they get the ball moving going forward, making sure they're trying to, get the dangerous players in good positions and isolated positions. I thought the left winger did really, really well. Of course, there's quite a lot of problems down that side. And yeah, it made it difficult for us. And had a few chances in the first half. But despite that, I don't think they, barring a bit of a flurry, maybe 15, 20 minutes in or so, I don't think they had loads of clear-cut chances. But they were definitely on top, and then the goal they've got, it's never a free kick. It's a pretty obvious dive, but it is what it is. And overall, I can't really begrudge them the goal because it's a fantastic free kick, and I think probably on balance of play, they probably did deserve to be ahead. Yeah. Second half, they fall back a bit. We pushed, and we've got a penalty. Jake Taylor's done really, really well to kind of take the ball down and knock it past his man to win that penalty, but.
I don't think that was it. I'm sticking my head out here and saying I don't think it was a free kick, and I didn't really think that was a penalty, but I'd take it. So
I think, look, I think Jake Taylor knew what he was trying to do, but I think he did he did. I think there was probably contact from what I can see, but I think at the same, he probably knew what he was doing. But yeah, and then obviously that's not going in.
Nice way of saying he dived. Yeah, that's right.
No, well, there's contact, isn't it? It's just knowing where to try and tease the contact out, and I thought he did that very well, but.
Alan Shearer would say he's entitled to go down, wouldn't he?
Yeah, he was entitled to that. It's a smart touch, just popping it around the player. But and then obviously penalty gets missed, and we've battled. We've had a couple of decent chances. We've had some threatening moments, but fair play Colchester. They've dug in. They've made it hard to break them down, and yeah, a bit of a tough one really. It felt like I don't know, maybe they just caught us off guard a little bit with how intense they were going to be, maybe, and that could have been a bit of a change to how they've played all season. So. Yeah, it was a tricky game, but it is what it is. Move on, and hopefully a bit more luck in the next few games coming. Really.
So here I come with my usual mitigating factors. October the 7th, we went to Colchester. We won 3-1. Connolly got sent off after just over half an hour, so we played an hour with 10 men, and we won 3-1. How many people from October the 7th were in the starting lineup on Saturday?
I wasn't 2 or something like that.
Two. Jacob Beddoe and Jordan Slew. Because obviously since then, Stuart Moore, JJ McKinnon, Adam Mayer, and Donald Love all out injured, and the other 4 loanees have all gone back. So we had 2.
Blue played less than half that match because he had to take Bloxham and Slew off to change the formation quite early on. So we 1.5 actually.
Yeah, it is. It is. So that's and the interesting thing before I come to James and Chris is I bumped into somebody. I meet people in the greatest of places. We were at the tills at Aldi today, and I met a fan who said I wasn't there last Saturday, and I said, "All right, yeah, it was probably a good one to miss." And he went, "But I did watch the English Football League highlights on ITV, and they showed their free kick and our 4 big chances, i.e., the penalty, Faz's header, Bedo's header, and the Brandon Barker sort of left foot volley at the back post." And he said, we never have 4 chances on English Football League highlights. And I went, to be fair, they were all decent chances in the second half, James, and it wouldn't have taken much if I mean, I felt sorry. I say this now. I felt sorry for Jed Garner for the simple fact he looked short of confidence, like he was desperate for a goal, and that's why he wanted to take the penalty. But unfortunately, it didn't come off for him. And looking at him before he was taking it, he had the ball in his hands, and he was looking at their keeper. Charlie had given him the ball, and he was looking at their keeper, and he was blowing like that. And I just turned around to everybody, and I went, he doesn't look confident, does he? And he didn't. And I felt really sorry for that lad. But he wanted to take it, and he's got the guts to take it, but the keeper saved it. But to me, and this is only my opinion, it came back out and he didn't really react because I think he was so crestfallen at having it saved, he couldn't switch his feet to actually put the rebound in. So it was a tricky game all round, James, but they did a job on us. Some of their quality style dark arts was comedy genius, wasn't it?
Yeah, everybody's dark arts is dark arts. You're a goal away from home, and you really need a win. Everybody's going to play like that, and until they make it impossible under the rules of the game, that's just the way the game's designed. Thought they deserved our goal in the first half. It was a great goal that they scored, but they deserved our goal. We deserved at least our goal in the second half, and probably 2. But to be fair, we rode our luck on 1 or 2 occasions the week before at MK and came away with a win. So it's just football. It wasn't a bad performance. The second half was much better than the first.
It was, yeah.
And we created some cracking chances in that half of football. Not including the penalty. Actually, we just created lots of good chances. So that's just the game of football. You score 2 one week and none the next week, and that's the way it is.
And Chris, I'm not expecting to come to you and be contentious, but if we'd have scored that penalty, I feel that there was only going to be one team go on and win it. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think goals always change the balance of games, don't they? So it's definitely when you're at home, if you get a goal back into that game straight after halftime, as it was, it's probably 2 minutes after halftime. So it's a great time to score. You go back out there with the intent of scoring a goal. You don't expect to score straight away, but say we got the penalty and then you say you're hoping it goes in. But say you touched on that. Say as I was walking up, I don't know if you actually noticed at the time, I walked up to it because we didn't actually have a set penalty taker at that time. So we've changed. Obviously, Mellon's gone back and wanted to have the penalty. But I've always, every team I've been at, your number 9 takes the penalties. You want your number 9 scoring the goals. And so Jed has scored one. So Charlie was actually saying to me, I want to take it. But it was, I think I was waiting to see if Jed wanted to take it and say Jed picked the ball up and it was looking like he wanted to take it. So I said to Charlie, just let him have it because you want your striker. So if he had scored, you get your striker full of confidence. But say, I think Jed's a confident guy. I actually drive in with him every day. Me, Charlie, and himself driving every day with each other. So we got on like a house on fire. And he's actually a very confident lad. So I think he'd be absolutely fine with that miss, and he'd kick on from hopefully get a goal on Saturday. And that gives him the world of confidence that he needs. I
sincerely hope so, because like I say, I did have a lot of sympathy with him because I'm just like he looks like he needs a goal, and obviously when he's come from Barrow and the Barrovians have not been kind about his performance there, but I think there's a player in there, definitely.
Yeah, he suits our sort of mould of hard working, can play on the sort of the counter attack and hold the ball up for us. But say I think on Saturday he was a bit, especially in the first half, he was very isolated. And if you're getting balls up and around your neck, regardless if you've got people near you, it's an hard work. And most centre halves in this league are big and physical. So I think he needs a lot better service, and we tried to do that second half, try to get bodies in there and around him, and you can probably see from the penalty, you got Jake Taylor getting in around the box to win the penalty. That's what we probably in the first half. Everyone was sat way too deep, and the balls are going forward, and there's no one probably in a touch in their box, let alone create us opportunities. So second half we tried to have a little go, but sometimes the ball doesn't go in the net. We had a few little the chances that you've touched on there. We had the chances, but it just wasn't our day to get back into the game.
And to continue putting the positive spin on it, I'll come back to what James said, in fact, that nobody expected us to get anything at MK Dons because they're our bogey team, but they would expect us to beat Colchester at home. So we've still ended up with the same number of points when it comes down to it, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's just always frustrating. So when you come back off of a win, especially when you go into a home game as well, you bounce and fill into it thinking, right, we've got Colchester. Not being to say no disrespect to them, they're obviously down in the bottom half of the table, and you're thinking, right, 3 points here, and you look into the next one and you roll on. But say we've had a little setback there, but say we've shown at MK Dons that we can go away from home and get 3 points, so we need to do that on Saturday.
Well, that's a beautiful segue for us to discuss, obviously, the two upcoming away games. Obviously, we've got Creepy Crawley on Saturday. Crawley's a bit of a strange place for us. We've had some good results there, and we've had some pathetic results there. The season we got promoted, we got done 4-0. I think we were 0-0 at half time, and we got done 4-0. James, you remember that one? That was it was nip and tuck, and their press was saying, "Oh,
that was Max. Was that Max Waters just doing a job on us?"
Yes. Max Waters. He came in at half time, and it was his first game for them. And yeah, he just took us apart, didn't he?
Yeah,
I think they got 7 figures on the back of that performance alone.
Yeah, quite probably. Yeah, and fair play to him. But Crawley again, nice people. They're always very welcoming down there. They never forget their roots coming back from the Southern League and what have you, which is always nice. And they've got a not dissimilar record to us. Obviously, a couple of points ahead of us. Currently, sort of 12, won 12, drawn 3, lost 12. They're -2, we're -4. So there's not going to be a right lot between us, Joel. And we've got an old boy there, Adam Campbell, who's making a bit of a comeback in his career there as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think a lot of people are probably pretty nailed on to go down really at the start of the season. Obviously, with a bit of their ownership stuff, it was a bit of a weird model, and they ended up signing a lot of non-league players who people didn't necessarily think very much of. But obviously, yeah, they've probably been one of the shocks of the season, really. I know they've kind of, that really electric start's kind of cooled off in the last couple of months, but considering basically everybody had them down as their safe bet for a relegation, then you got to say fair play to them. It looks like they're creating a bit, but they're conceding a bit at the other end. Adam Campbell, it looked like he was kind of wrapping up his kind of pro career, just kind of going full time back up where he's from in the northeast. But yeah, made a bit of a comeback in the Football League, hasn't he? So, and I know it didn't quite work out for him when he was with us, but we do know he's a talented player. He always caused us a lot of trouble when he was at Notts County. Yeah, so they've got good talented players going forward. But as we see, there are ways that we can get them their defence and stuff, and we've got good players to do that. Hopefully, Gwyn Edwards is back, Brandon Barker. Building him up to fitness. I think that'll be really important. So yeah, we've got a squad full of good players. Hopefully, we get people like Joel Senior back, because I thought he was a big miss at the weekend. I think the way he's able to kind of beat that first line of pressure with his dribbling, it's really important. He's great at kind of beating his man, like coaxing that kind of winger out, getting around him, and then being able to drive the ball in the midfield. So hopefully we've got a few more players back, because like you said, I think any criticism of our form over the past couple of months, it's got to be caveated with the fact that we've lost a lot of really good players, people like Mellon, King, Bloxham, and stuff. And I know we've brought new people in, but it's going to take a little bit of time to gel. But we've seen some good signs already, and I'm sure once we kind of get everybody back in the side, we'll be looking pretty good.
And James, presumably not the easiest game to get to for you, but damn sight easier than it is for us.
It is the easiest game to get to for me. It's 10 miles down the road. I don't even need to go on an A road. It's like country roads all the way to Crawley Stadium. So it's the easiest game to get to for me. I'm looking forward to it. Like, there's a clutch of teams in the middle. Crawley's towards the top of that. Walsall are just behind, and then we're in the same group. We've all played the same number of games. I don't believe in this, but if you were to care about form, then Crawley's away form is better than their home form, and recently our away form is better than our home form. And it won't be a draw because they've not drawn a game for like 12 or 13 or 14 games or something ridiculous.
No.
But I think a good competitive game, and there's absolutely no reason why we can't go and win it. And hopefully we'll have a decent contingent of fans there to see it too.
So the next two games, Chris, obviously we visit Walsall on Tuesday night after the visit to Crawley. I think the best thing I can say about all the teams that are in that little cabal is that we are, including us, we are consistently inconsistent at the moment.
Yeah, we found that recently. I say our form's been very indifferent to the start of the season, especially. It's been, you've spoken about there yourselves. We've changed a lot of players. We've changed manager. We've got new players coming in the building, and it's constantly rotating. We've not actually settled yet. See Guillaume come into the team, he's then gone out of the team, and see Kay come into the team, and see Joel's gone out, and it's like you constantly fight. I think the manager's constantly fighting a battle of trying to put people in, but trying to get a settled team, because that's when you sort of find your best sort of form. And I think that's what Derek found. He had his set 11 and he rolled with it, and that's when we found our best form, because when you've got a settled side and you got partnerships and you know each other's games and stuff like that, football comes a lot easier. So at the moment we're trying to do that. We're trying to find people, to the boys that have come in, we're trying to get them into the team, so it's getting their match sharpness as well, because you think like Guillaume's not played for 8 months. Joe Adams he's not played a professional game. He only played 3 professional games now. I've seen Caden's the same. I think he's played 2 professional games now. So it's like you're trying to get these boys up to speed of League 2 football, and it's as well as us as trying to find what they're like as players. So that's the battle we're trying to face at the moment. Hopefully it comes sooner rather than later, because we want to get back up in the positions that we were at the start of the season.
Yeah, and I think, like you say, for Jed, it's been a game of Chinese patience, hasn't it? Because he's had to swap his starting lineup through injuries, suspensions, etc., etc. We saw against Mansfield, the right-hand side particularly, Joel Senior and Guion Edwards had this almost telepathic understanding straight away.
Yeah.
And we caused Mansfield enormous amount of problems, and they were permanently on the back foot for most of the game because they just couldn't cope with him. But obviously we've not had them two playing since then together. So it's one of those where I think it's a fair point to make, in the fact that if we can finally establish some sort of rhythm, and I suppose you do get in a rhythm, and obviously this is starting at Crawley on Saturday. What's the injury situation like, Chris, with those chaps?
It's actually looking quite good as we speak right now. We'll say we've obviously got 2 more training. So fingers crossed we get through them unscathed. But the boys are looking, so they're slowly getting back into training. They've been pushed into training this week, and we should be looking very good for training tomorrow. So I don't want to speak too soon, but hopefully all them boys that we've spoke about will be involved on Saturday, and we can actually go into Saturday with a bit of a full strength team, and say we should be fully prepared, ready to go for that one. So that's like I said about Guion there. I think he suits Joel as well, because Joel likes playing on the outside. Guion's good at coming in the inside. So I think that's why then click straight away, because you've got Guion who likes coming in them pockets in the holes, and it leaves Joel that space to say you've touched on there before, with Joel likes to drive into midfield, and he's very good at beating a man. So that sort of helps his game, because he's got someone who's going to be a bit more of an intelligent footballer, where I think more Blocker was more that straight line runner as well, where they probably got in each other's way sometimes because they both want to do that outside role, where Guion's probably a bit more clever and he's a bit more suited to that sort of inside forward sort of role.
Well, obviously we'll be back next week to discuss both of those games, but fingers crossed we get, I don't know, would you take 2 draws now, chaps?
Nah, I want more. 2 wins.
Oh, okay.
No pressure,
okay.
Chris.
No, you're right. I think that we're going to be, this time of year especially, if you want to do anything and you want to achieve something, I think we have to look at, especially when we were playing, no disrespect to them, we have to go into these games with looking for 2 wins. So we're not going to these games looking for draws.
Well, that's fighting talk. That's what I like to hear. So moving on, we'll come to you now, Chris. And obviously, I obviously looked at your bio, and my first thought was, I'm going to have to mention how many cars have you gone through, because you've done some bloody mileage, mate.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's Forest Green a couple of times, Coventry, Bury, Stevenage, Kilmarnock, and now Morecambe. I'm like, Gordon Bennett, you've got a compass.
Yeah, I've kept an for a long time. It's nearly done 200,000 miles, so that's it's on his last death. So that's going into the couple of weeks, I think.
Is it a diesel?
Yeah, it's a diesel. It's done a heck of a few miles. So it's done nearly 200,000 miles. So it's on his last legs, that one.
So obviously there's a little bit of a West Country twang just still there, despite you moving around the country.
Yeah.
And obviously you've had all these clubs. Your main establish was when you were at Forest Green in the conference, and then you went back to Forest Green in the league. But I noticed altogether 330 games and 20 goals, and I thought straight away that's not bad. That's not bad. Do you fancy yourself from free kicks, or are you pretty good from corners and what have you?
Yeah, it was always. So I think it was at Coventry more, and say we were like set up to be like corners were sort of aimed towards me a few times. So that was always nice when they say that it works like that way. You sort of get corners sort of aimed at where you're supposed to be going. So I've always notched a few goals, and I've always aimed to aim for 4 or 5 a season. So I'm not been fortunate enough to play many games this season. So I've always aimed for 5, and see if you're getting around there. It's always a good return for a defender.
So I mean, I think you had the end of the other week, which somebody cleared off the line, but they didn't know much about it. That I thought that was going in as well. Was that was you, wasn't it?
I was a bit baffled myself. I think I've added it on, and I just thought, wow, what's a goal? I just turned around and I was like, saying to Faz, I was like, have you just cleared that yourself? I was like, well, how the hell's it not gone in? I was like, what? I was just so like thinking, because I've not actually seen it been deflected wide. I was thinking, what's happened there? But so their lad, it's just actually just hit their lad on the line. I was thinking that just sums it up. Really, you get nice in, you get a bit of luck every now and again, and they were just fortunate that it's just literally just hit him and went over the bar.
Yeah, he didn't know much about it, but fair play. So as I mentioned in the intro, you came to us at the start of the season. You played in a few of the pre-season games, but then Derek, as you said, he really did settle on a fairly solid side, and obviously we performed pretty well up to a couple of games before Derek leaving. But then inevitably, I suppose when you come to your stage of your career, you're thinking, well, when the pitches turn horrible and yellow cards kick in, there's going to be injuries, there's going to be, and so your opportunity will come. And you've bided your time and you've grabbed it with, as I said, both feet. So you must feel happier now because you're getting a game every week.
Yeah, it was very frustrating. I say I was up in Scotland, so I was driving back and forth from Scotland as well. So when you're not even playing, I tell you now, the drives back to Scotland wasn't very nice. So it wasn't great, and it was. So I was very frustrated and very angry because you think you sign for a club and you want to play, so regardless who you are, what age you are, you want to play football. So yeah, it was a tough time, and I was saying to the manager, look, I didn't sign up for this. Look, you persisted me, you wanted to sign me in the summer. It's come to this, and he settled his team very early. He spoke to me and said, sort of pre-season, said, I'm going to go with this team. And I've never known that before. I've never actually been at a club where in pre-season the team's been settled. Usually in pre-season I'll have a look at everyone. People say there's a balance of football, but we didn't have that. The manager said early on, I'm going to go with this team. I want to get them sharp in pre-season. The team that started the season played most of the minutes in pre-season. I've never had that, so it was a strange one. And sometimes you just got to roll your sleeves up and get on with it. And I'd say you wait for your time, but it took a lot longer than what I expected to get into the team.
And like I say, you've taken the opportunity now, and Jed seems to have your trust now, which is obviously the change of manager and also the injury seems to have done you a favour because obviously you're looking pretty established, hopefully.
Yeah, the gaffer's been good to me. I say when he come in, he was coaching at the time, and so I think we just clicked straight away. Sometimes you do with coaching, sometimes you do with manager, you get on well. And so me and the gaffer got on really well. Yeah, I enjoyed his coaching when he was coaching under Derek, and so when his transition to manager, you need your sort of senior players, and he leaned on sort of myself, Faz, Jan, and then sort of players, and Donald, because when he's his first time as a manager as well, so you need your senior pros to be on board and help the change room, help that transition, because we've got a lot of young players in that change room. We've probably never been through a change of manager, let alone that sort of thing. So it was difficult, and saying I think that's what he's leaned on us, the senior players, and we've tried our best for him, and saying it sort of new for us as well to have that sort of transition from a coach to a manager. So it's been good. It's we've all enjoyed it, and hopefully it carries on, continues for a long foreseeable future.
So coming back to what you said earlier, if you're now playing regularly, what's your target for goals from now to the end of the season?
Yes, got left. We've still got a fair few games left, haven't we? So that's what I say.
Yeah.
Always aim for 5, so can't say 2.5. So we're aiming for 3.
Yeah, good effort. Good effort. No pressure. Joel, Chris, is all yours.
Talking of a bit of bad luck with goals, I guess there's the Tranmere one, which was, you know what, might have just been creeping in.
I think that was going in.
Be my 0.5 because that was probably going in, so that could be my.
I think it was. It might have hit the post. I was right behind it, and we were all convinced. But that guy got such a good header on it, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly. As well. So he had messaged me straight after the game. He was like, "Please tell me you've not got that. I've not been given that goal." And I was like, "I'm trying to claim it for you, mate, but yeah, it's my goal. Well, it's his goal." And say, I'm good friends with the keeper as well. So it's just funny enough that them two players, the guy who's headed it in and the goalie, are like two good friends of mine.
That's funny. You know, you put in a delivery like that, yeah, you're bound to get something decent happen from it, aren't you? So, but yeah, it's just kind of looking back at your career. It's actually had quite a wit. You've been present at a couple of really significant Morecambe history moments, which you might not be aware of. Jim Bentley's last.
I think I know what you're going to say. The one where he stayed up, and that was one of the weirdest games I think I've ever played in my life.
Yeah, yes. I was going to ask about, because we've had a couple of players who were we've had Aaron Wilding on. We've talked to him about it from the Morecambe perspective. But I guess my take on the game was, I thought you had a bit of a go in the first half. Obviously, Baz made a couple of really good saves, but then the second half, it felt like a bit of a gentleman's agreement.
It was, yes. Yeah, it's funny. I actually come on trials to Morecambe when I left Bolton when I was 18, I think 18, 19. So I played alongside Jim Bentley and in friendly games and stuff like that. So I've always kept in contact with Jim, and so he was manager that day. So it was a strange fit. Like, say, he was always saying to me like, "Oh, come on, please let us come on, we need a draw, all this sort of stuff." And I think it was me and Kev Ellison on the wing. And me and Kev just made an agreement. Kev, look, I won't go that way. You don't go this way. We just stand there and talk to each other the next 45 minutes. And it was literally the weirdest 45 minutes of football ever. Because we had a sort of go in the first half where we sort of tried to get the win, but the second half was just the weirdest game of football. No one wanted to do anything. The ball was not really in play much. And I think the commentary fans are booing because they were like, "What have we come to watch here?" But I was like, well, we needed a draw. It suits everyone. So we couldn't actually go. Exactly. We only needed a draw. So it was just
it was a strange game second half, but like Joel's alluded to, Barry Roach made a really couple of good saves, but then the aforementioned Kev Ellison went down the left-hand side, cut inside, and he hit the side netting. And when he hit the side netting, it would have been, ooh, and it was almost like then Mark Robbins went, oh, they've got a threat. Got a threat. Right, shut up shop. And I do remember I was doing the commentary at the time, and people were texting in. And I was like, it sounds really tense. And then I think commentary brought a sub on who played on the left-hand side.
Yeah,
about 20 minutes.
Bored. I remember it. He'd come on and like, what's he doing? And I was like, I don't think he's got. I don't think he knows what's going on here. We've all been in agreement.
Oh, he did. He came on and legged it down the left-hand side, and he got to the edge of the box and turned round, and there was nobody there. And he was looking at everybody going, "What are you doing?" And he hadn't sussed out, "No, the game's over, mate." And I'd said that on the commentary. I went, "What's he doing?" And then you could see the bench going, "What are you doing?" And then you ended up passing it back, and it went on the edge of your own D again. And I was like, "Oh, thank God for that. He's got the message." So it was one of the strangest games ever. But I think we took about 800 to that game, and I've never seen 800 people with bated breath when the sub came on going, "Oh my God, he's attacking."
It was just so. I remember him coming on the time. I think he just didn't get the message of what was happening on the game, and it was like, "Mate, just relax. Like, nobody needs to win here. Just get on with it and just pass the ball around. It's absolutely fine. Don't worry about it." But he was a young lad, so I think he just wanted to come on and impress and say, if he had gone on and scored on that game, I think that'd have been absolute scenes after that. Been absolutely manic last few minutes. So I'm glad nothing actually happened there.
Yeah, I think. But by the way, quickly, just a quick caveat with apologies to Barnet, but
And yes, I think Barnet City tried to actually appeal to the FA after that, and then there was things going on, and we were like, the game's actually happened. Obviously, there's nothing they can obviously do about it, but say it suited both parties for a draw, and it ended up being a draw. So there was actually things in the game where it could have gone either way. So it's just one of them games that say it suited both of us to get a draw.
Yeah, and I guess you sometimes see middle of the season games that people just could kind of peter out. Nobody's quite got it in them. I guess as well, for you guys, you're looking at a playoff, a playoff campaign. You don't really want to be going in for that horrible 50-50 or absolutely burn your legs out down the wing, do you?
I was like, Kev, I'm absolutely fine now. I've got a game, but say the playoff game was a few days after. So I was like, right, no, I'm absolutely fine. They're just standing there. So you just stand there and I stand there and it'll be absolutely great.
So kind of coming out from that Coventry season, I think, was it the next season you were at Bury for their promotion season as well?
Yeah, so I left Coventry, then Coventry got promoted, and I had a chat with Mark Robbins, and he said your playing time would be a bit limited next season. So I had another year in my contract that you don't have to go. But I was one of them. I just had my first child. Then my wife's from up this way. She's from like Manchester way. So it was one of them who sort of made a sort of decision to get nearer to one of our families. So I've always been on the road, and so I thought, right, Bury sort of suited it, and it was a longer sort of contract. And I thought, right, well, so Bury having that time and having a right go, they're paying very good money, and it was a lot of good players in the building. And I thought, do you know what? It's a chance of another promotion. And I thought, do you know what? Let's give it a go. And so I went there, and little did I know what I was walking into.
I know. So I mean that's an interesting point actually. So obviously the season's finished with promotion, and then obviously in League. Were you there for League One, for any games in League One, or were you just kind of straight out the door in summer when it all kind of went a bit mad?
Yeah, also I was there at Coventry, like the League One, the previous before we went down. But that season I left just the start of the season, so just as the season was kicking off, I left Coventry and went to Bury. So I didn't actually do any of that season with Coventry.
So the following season, when you end up departing Bury, did you spend any time with Bury in League One, or is it straight out the door?
Bury went completely bust in the off season, so they actually didn't get to start League One. I left. God, when did I actually leave there? I think I left around sort of June sort of time. So just as it was, I waited long enough because I still had a bit of time on my contract left, so I actually didn't want to leave and say we're going up to League One. None of the players actually wanted to go. We enjoyed working for. So it was Ryan Lowe as the manager. I actually loved it, so I didn't want to leave. But I said I didn't get paid from this. It was around this sort of time, say January sort of time, we stopped getting paid, and then we had to go the whole season with not being paid. So there was no way I could carry on with. I'd say we left as long as we could, but there was no way we could all carry on playing like that.
No, definitely not. And then obviously you've ended up at Stevenage, which is I think was quite obviously like. They were I'm guessing they were paying you, but obviously that's another weird situation. I think they were in a bit of a downward slump, and they've kind of been saved by Macclesfield going bust in the end. But I think that season you were also in the team for what ended up being Jim Bentley's last game at Morecambe.
Was it? I didn't know that. Yeah, I didn't actually know that one. So yeah, that was the Stevenage one. Was just I joined them on the back of they finished just outside the playoffs that season when I joined them. And the season before, and they were like, right, we're going to have a right go going up again. And I was like, I've just come on the back of 2 promotions from League Two. So I was like, right, yeah, let's have another one. Why not? And I've gone there and it was completely different to what I got sold. Well, I got sold the ideas and we really struggled and manager got changed. I think it was after 10 games and they brought in, it was Mark Sampson initially. Then it was Graham Wesley, and Graham Wesley's very famous for what he is. And that was not my cup of tea. And I was driving down, as again, my travels, I was driving down from Coventry to Stevenage, which was, I think, over 2 hours a day. And I was, leaving my house at just before 6 and getting in the house about 7, 8 o'clock. So that was never going to last with Graham Wesley like that. And I said, I had 2 children around that sort of time as well. So it was like, it was never going to work. And thankfully, Forest Green coming to me just in that January, I think it was right at the end of the January window. I managed to get myself back out and join a club that I knew before.
Yeah, and obviously with Forest Green, that was back towards the top of the division. I think, especially at the time, they had a bit of a reputation for kind of playing out from the back. And you were was it middle centre back that you were generally playing with them?
Sorry, 1 second, my phone's just ringing here.
No worries.
I think he was paired with Faz then, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, he might well have been actually. Yeah,
Faz had a couple of years at FDR, didn't he?
He did.
So we'll have to ask him when he's told that person to get stuffed on the phone. James, are you hot? You're taking your kit off slowly, or are you just doing the stripogram?
The heating came on. It just suddenly came on.
Oh, you little devil.
My tiny room is warm.
Yeah, little devil. Anyway, so hello, Chris, you're back. Go with that one again.
Sorry about that.
Right.
Yeah, no. While you're off, Freeze, just quickly reminded us. Were you with Faz at Forest Green?
Yeah, I was, yeah. And Smudge was there as well. Adam Smith, the goalie, he was frozen out then, but it's funny enough, he was there as well, just as I joined, but he was just about to leave. So it was right at the end of that window. But I played with Faz that was just his COVID hit, so we didn't get to play many games together. But I actually played with Faz at Coventry as well.
Oh, blimey. Well, there we go. That's working out quite nicely coming up here then. But I guess what the stuff with Forest Green leads me to, because I always quite like asking our kind of any centre back we have on. What do you find of the? Because obviously at the time, especially Forest Green, were always playing a back three, and
yeah.
And in your career you played back fours and left back. So what are the kind of main differences that you find between kind of playing as a centre back in a back two and a centre back in a back three?
So at Forest Green I played in the middle, and the middle you generally you sort of just control the middle of the thing, and you sort of sweep up, and you let the two beside you more the attacking sort of side. When I've played it, so the left and the right have been always encouraged to say get forward, and you sort of left to sort of pick up the pieces that are left behind. And so you usually have they wanted an experienced sort of head there, so that's why I was put there. And then on the left hand side, I played left of a three when I was at Bury, and I say again I enjoyed that sort of attacking sort of side because I've come from a left back, so sort of an easy transition to come from a left back to a left of a three because I've always enjoyed getting forward, but I've always been quite a physical, robust player as well, where I've enjoyed that physical side, and so that probably helped my transition from going from a left back to a centre half, because I've had that left of a three role and then to a middle of a three, and then now you'd say when you're playing a back forward, say a bit more of a full-on centre half role than it is when you're in a back three, because you're sort of rotating quite a lot.
Yeah, I guess when you're in that left centre back role, you're kind of expected to do a bit more of the kind of one-on-one duels when the wingers come down, they come inside a little bit. I guess you're kind of expected to take them on, aren't you?
Say what fullback you're playing with. If you've got an attacking fullback, you're sometimes left on that channel, and then you end up coming like a left back. Or if you've got more of a defensive fullback, so you end up playing more inside the field because your left back's near enough next to you. So it sort of all depends on the fullback you're playing with. And most centre halves, they will tell you they want to be middle of the pitch. They don't want to be going out wide, because when you get out wide, that's when you sort of get left 1v1. There's some tricky wingers flying about, so you don't get caught out there too much.
No, yeah. It doesn't look very fun that when you get caught out against a good winger. So, just kind of looking at how you've been your kind of career so far and all the experiences you've had, what are the kind of things that you think have kind of changed in your time in kind of League One, League Two, lower league, and then obviously in Scottish Premiership football? What kind of, how do you think the standards and the styles have changed over the kind of over the years that you've had your career?
Not massively, and I won't say greatly. I say a lot of money's come into it, especially the lower division now. So League Two was, when I started playing Division Two, it was not what it was now. So we had one team had a bit of money, had a go at it, but there's always one or two big teams. But now you see it's got your Wrexhams, your Notts counties, you've got your Stockports are throwing sort of championship money at it, and that's different. And so you've got players, very high profile players coming to the division now who are come towards the back end of a career, obviously want that money and trying to keep going again. So that's probably one of the changes. And then, so yeah, probably a lot more youthful as well now. So more of the teams now are looking to say what we've done here with, say, Adam, sold Adam on for it's a good financial package for the club, and a lot of clubs are looking at that way as well, with promoting young players to something for the future, because that's how clubs now, like say like a Morecambe and stuff like that, so Crawleys, and then are going to keep going for the future, because you have to, if you want to continue with the financial times they are now after COVID, probably a lot of teams more looking towards that way of playing the younger sort of side and then moving them on.
No, that's interesting. So just kind of back on the defending thing as well, actually, I meant to ask. Obviously, I think a lot of people talk about how do you kind of see it with defending, and how you sometimes have to react to situations. But I think a lot of the time, obviously, you kind of have to be proactive and read the game. And so how much do you like to make sure you're kind of ahead of things and reading the game and stepping into things?
Yeah, loads. And say I think that's the more games you play, the more you get that sort of being proactive instead of reactive. I think that's the most of the same. What's what you think from a centre half? Most of your centre halves in most teams are always the experienced ones, read the game well, because most of the time you get left on your own and you sort of you can see a lot of the game, so you need to be controlling it from the back. And if you're not talking enough and you're not being a switched on and being proactive instead of reactive, and that's when things go drastically wrong. So you try as much as you can to control everything in front of you to make things put out of fires before they even happen.
So with that and that kind of communication, and there was something that you were saying earlier about kind of learning other players' games and communicating them. So it just kind of made me think, when you've got so many new teammates like you have done in this latest window, what are the kind of things that you're looking for in their styles of play? And when you say you're learning their game, are you kind of looking, do they like to take it on, like, maybe towards, like, on sorry, what I mean is, like, do they like to take it wide a bit more? Do they like to come inside? Do they like to take things in the half turn? Or
one sort of reference I will say, I spoke to Guion just before the Mansfield game, just sort of asked him, say, when I'm coming out the ball, where do you like to run? Do you like to stay wide, or do you like to run in the field? And he said, I like to run in behind the centre half. So I said to him, right, when I've got the ball and I've got a bit of time, say, make that run. And I don't know if you can remember it in the game, I played one over the top, over the centre half, and Guion got on the end of it, and he just had a sort of a bad touch, and it ran up to the left. So that's the sort of relationships you become second nature after a while, because next time I won't even look, so I just get the ball and it'd be like, bang, right there it is. And that's the sort of the things you can build that just doesn't just happen. You sort of have to work on them. Say probably me and Guion being more experienced players, that just comes second nature. But say when you've got the younger ones, they play a bit more off the cuff, and it's hard to know what they're doing because they're so raw and they're just so excitable that you're thinking, they don't even know what they're doing themselves sometimes. Like an Adam, it's like, I think sometimes he's so energetic, and say Tom Blocks, and they were just so energetic and so raw that they just got the ball and they were like, bang, bang, it just happened. And it's hard to work with them players because you're thinking, but then sometimes it's actually great because you're obviously blown away sometimes what they do, and that's why they've been such good players. And I think more they play, the more they play the game, they become more switched on to when they have to run and when they don't have to run, and what to come inside a bit more and stuff like that. But that comes with games, and that's probably the flip side of the youthfulness, because it's so great to watch sometimes, but then again it's so frustrating.
I guess one that really springs out in terms of that kind of spontaneity and kind of hyperness. I remember Joe Adams in that Mansfield game as well. Joe Adams in those first 15-20 minutes, it was like, I think that was that kind of, it was that personified, really, wasn't it? It was just taking people on and absolutely going at people. And Mansfield didn't know what to do, didn't they?
No, I think me and Guion both pulled him at half time and said, shoot, just please when you shoot. Because I think Roy's been so used to just dribbling with the ball, and he's like, wants to take everyone on. I'm like, mate, just get out your feet. These League Two goalies, most of them have got no hands, so just shoot. Shoot. So, like, I think he will learn that more and more. We said to him in trade, I think Eli took a little while as well. Well, that I said to Eli, just shoot. And he started, as more and more he played, he started shooting. He scored, I think, a cracking goal at Doncaster. See, the more you shoot in this league, you score a lot of goals, because the keeper are saying that a lot of keepers aren't very good.
do you make sure? Yeah, I was gonna say, do you make sure not to say that when Adam or Stuart or Archie now are around?
Keeper hater all my life, and that I tell them all the time, so it's not, they won't be surprised at what I'm saying.
Brilliant. Back over to you, Freez. Cheers.
So, presumably, if your wife's sort of Manchester based, are you still around there now?
Yeah, so we moved middle of December, so we've just moved down here. We just moved from Scotland, so that was a bit manic around sort of Christmas time, trying to move and get settled as a family and getting some of the boy into school and stuff like that. But so we're finally getting settled now. We've just unpacked all the boxes and getting ready to go. So it's actually quite nice to be settled.
So that my next flippant comment is that you'd rather buy a new house than a new car. So you moved from Scotland so that you could keep the car. Fair play.
Well, yeah, so the car's going, so I'm in the market for a new car. So we'll see what comes up in the next.
Oh, hey, we've got plenty of car dealers listening to this.
My way, please.
You might get staff discount. You never know. Right, we'll move on. Thanks for that, Chris. We've got a situation where we've got James from the board. We've got a few things we need to talk about. First one, obviously, everybody's got the big news today. Congratulations to Adam Mayer. A great move for him, a great move for Millwall, and obviously a good deal for us, James.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the reality is that Adam's got huge potential. He wasn't going to stay beyond next season, so it was a case of looking at sensible offers in this window or in the summer. And yeah, we were pleased with the conversations that have been had over the course of the last couple of weeks, the last few days actually. And it works out for Adam. He gets to go up into the Championship. There's a club there that's got fantastic facilities, and he can hopefully do really, really well there, which will be to our benefit in the future as well. But these things are always undisclosed. But we're happy with how it's turned out. And given all of the backdrop and everything else over the course of the last few months, it's nice to get that done and feel like there's been no impact of the backdrop stuff. We've just done a good deal. So yeah, it's good. And as we said, all the way through the last sort of 4.5, 5 years that I've been involved, you want as many people as possible coming into Morecambe Football Club who want to go on and do well, who want to perform,
yes,
and kick on up. Because unless you're Real Madrid, every single club in football is developing talent, whether it be players, whether it be coaching staff, whether it be people behind the scenes, for bigger clubs that can pay more money, and that's the way the game is structured. So thrilled for Adam, wish him all the very best. Hope he does fantastically well, but equally really happy with how the window's gone in terms of bringing in players in out wide to cover that role. And actually, Chris has talked about a couple of them during the course of this pod. So yeah, really, 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 really pleased, and good to get it done, and good that it's not like being done at like 10:30 on the Thursday night, which has been the case in a couple of past years. I think the other thing to quickly say as well is that like Leif Davis, gone on and done well. Jack Kingdon's still currently doing well at Man United in the pathways there. Sam Lavelle, Carlos, now Adam. The range of players that have come into Morecambe and developed via the academy or via just the general setup and gone on and done well, it's becoming a bit of a thing, and that's a good thing for Morecambe. That's a good thing for the club.
Jeez, we need to be a factory to survive, don't we?
Well, not necessarily a factory. Like we don't want to be like selling the family jewels every single year and losing 4 or 5 players. But if there's a regular sort of progression of people who do really, really well and then move on, and that does help massively, and that does help to be a more sustainable club. And we're not going to be a Stockport or a Wrexham or a club like that, as we said for a few years. We want to do it the right way. We want to win and feel like we deserve to win rather than it's being bought. And these things go a long way to helping that.
And I think I'm okay in saying this, in the fact that I think we've been helped greatly by the simple fact that Adam is been in the Championship at 19. He's not 20 till April, which is fantastic for him. But also, Millwall were not the only suitors, which has kind of helped us, hasn't it? Really.
Well, always. If you're selling a house or a car, Chris, when you come to sell your car, you want more than one person interested, don't you? And if you've not got more than one person interested, you've got to be a really, really, really good negotiator. But if there's more than one interested, then it helps enormously. So yeah, absolutely. The more people who want to buy, supply and demand economics, the better it goes. So yeah.
We'll just be looking forward to seeing who the next top property is, whether it's Saul or Camerooni or whoever. But a big shout out to Wayners and everybody else from the academy, because they've done a brilliant job with Adam getting through. And when you look back at like you say, the players, we go back to even sort of like our time in the conference when Jim Harvey gave youth a chance, and Stuart Drummond and Gary Thompson went on to have great, Dave Perkins, all had great league careers, quite high up Championship, etc. So we've got a history of it, even when we were sort of like conference. So it's great that it's done, and I'm chuffed a bit for Adam. His family are absolutely lovely. I've had a chat with them, and they've always been really, really supportive of Morecambe. A couple of the fans were on to his dad saying, "Does that mean you're not coming to watch us anymore?" And I was like, "Duh." Although getting to Millwall home games won't be quite as easy as getting from Liverpool to Morecambe, but yeah, good luck to him. So I'll come to you again, James. Now, finally, we got a date for the fans forum.
Yeah, I'm really pleased about that. I guess it's not that we've been avoiding doing a fans forum. We do these pods regularly, and we try and speak to people at home and away games as much as possible. It's not like we're locking ourselves away in a room. But yeah, I'm really pleased there's a date for that. There'll be board and manager of the fans forum, open to questions, free tickets. As somebody pointed out, you might want to pick the tickets rather than get the postage. Yeah, come along and ask us questions. That's the whole point of it. And I don't think we've ever hidden away from questions, but it's nice to do it in person and do it in person at Mazuma. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, and obviously there'll be lots of questions regarding what's going on in the background, etc., etc. So be prepared for your armour that night. But I'm sure you've got all the answers.
I've not necessarily got all the answers, but we can be honest, and that's all I think anybody can ask of anybody, as honest as we possibly can. I think as Charlie said over the last few weeks, as we've been open and saying, Jason wants to sell the club, we want to help him do that, and the club and the fans and the community and everybody associated it wants the new owner to come in. So everybody's aligned in their desire or their objectives. Just got to make it happen. And we do have a bit of time, which is helpful. Again, we're a sensibly run club, and we don't waste money on anything. And yeah, we've got a bit of time. So yeah, we'll all work together to make it happen. People should come to the fans forum quick, ready to ask anything they want, and we'll answer questions honestly.
I think one of the questions that fans forum is how much does Chris Stokes want for his car?
I would just jump in and say that Chris was describing the younger players there, how they go on the pitch and they don't really know what they're doing, and then it's exciting and it's thrilling and they just run in here, there, and everywhere. I'm 48. I still play football like that. And
there's hope for you yet.
The lads I play with are like, you literally are like playing with a 15-year-old. Like you don't know what you're doing, do you? I don't. I just gonna run around.
I'd like to come and watch.
Yeah, it's not a pretty sight, honestly. I was barely good enough for Sunday League, let alone Saturday.
Oh, right. Oh yeah, it just sounds like it could be worth a quick video on TikTok and YouTube.
But hey, I'm still playing at 48 in a full Morecambe kit, so I'm winning. I'm winning in some small way.
Full kit W, hooray! And finally, Joel, obviously the trust came out with a statement last week, and there's nothing really to add to that, but obviously read the statement.
Yeah, I think the statement will probably word it better than I will on here, but yeah, it's something that's been discussed. There's kind of been like a subcommittee set up to look at this whole kind of protest thing. They're chatting with local authorities, they've got a meeting with the police, so just to make sure the feasibility of everything, that it's not going to suddenly incur a massive load of costs that's going to be unhelpful to the situation. So yeah, they're just kind of going through the due diligence of seeing what the situation is, and obviously they'll kind of update further when they've got a bit more information on that. And
that completes this edition of ShrimpNet. My thanks to our guests, Joel as always, the lovely James from the boardroom, who always gets a bit of flack for his full kit, and Chris, first time on it. So when you get back in the car and go to training tomorrow morning, you can say to Jed and Charlie, "Oh, you need to go on that because it's quite good fun." I mean, you can lie, obviously. We don't mind you lying, but thanks for doing this. It gives us and the fans watching and listening an insight into what makes people tick, and I think that's, in this day and age with all the media, I think it's really, really important that when you talk about your kids and your family and stuff like that, it's important. You're human beings and you're just normal blokes like the rest of us, and I think that's what makes Morecambe FC the place it is, and League Two football you can touch. So thanks for doing this.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
This has been ShrimpNet. No, according to Charlie, this is ShrimpNet at 100, but I think it's 101 because we did one where I couldn't get on when I was on the road to Swansea. So I think it's 101. So it's room 101. So it's probably been crap. See you next week.
Cheers, Freeze.